Today's hearing, bureaucratic overreach or consumer protection, examining the CFPB's latest action to restrict competition in payments, in my view, is critical because it's going to talk about this large participants in the general use of digital consumer payment applications market. This is the 6th LPR that the CFPB has initiated. And putting aside the egregiously short comment period, which frustrates both members of this committee, the deeply flawed cost-benefit analysis, which are both have become hallmarks of this administration, I find the substance of the CFPB's proposal deeply concerning. The proposal asserts that companies that let you send monies to friend, peer-to-peer, or companies that keep your credit card information on your phone somehow are in the exact same market. Why? Well, just because the CFPB says so. This breadth of the market the CFPB is trying to define has perplexed many on this committee, from potentially covered entities to, as I say, on both sides of the aisle here. Many companies are utterly confused, wondering not only how the rule will be implemented, but whether they're even covered by it. I would argue that this confusion is by no means an accident. The CFPB is trying to cast as wide a net as possible and become a technology regulator. And in many more ways than one, this proposal marks a sharp departure from the CFPB's previous large participation rules. Director Chopra has decided on a whim, and in my view, without justification, that technology companies pose a threat to consumers, and this rule should be viewed as a thinly veiled workaround to get CFPB supervision teams into these tech companies. And that's because once an entity is designated as a large participant, the CFPB can not only supervise the activities, which is what I think the intent of Dodd-Frank was, that originally qualify, but they can actually supervise the entity's business itself. The proposal attempts to establish limits by only capturing those companies with 5 million transactions within a year. So we'd love to hear from the panel on, is that a good number or a bad number? But don't be fooled, this modest threshold is so low the agency will effectively have carte blanche to knock down the door of companies large and small with their fleet of examiners. There's no doubt that this proposal will decrease incentives to innovate in the payment space and leave consumers encumbered with fewer firms from which to choose a payment method. That decreases competition. This LPR doesn't benefit consumers or provide market clarity. In fact, the only people this proposal potentially will benefit, besides witnesses like you, are compliance lawyers. To further expand their authority, the CFPB has decided to capture digital assets under this proposal as well. The CFPB asserts the definition of funds includes digital assets. This is a novel position, and the CFPB justifies the interpretation only in a very small, unassuming footnote. Concerns around this proposal are not strictly partisan. Comment letters were submitted by both sides of the aisle to express concern about the proposal's scope and implications. The CFPB needs to go back to the drawing board, work to protect consumers, and not hinder innovation or expand the CFPB's insatiable reach for more power and scope. We thank our panel of witnesses for being here today. We greatly appreciate your testimony and willingness to work with us. And I now yield to the ranking member, Mr. Lynch of Massachusetts, 5 minutes for his opening comments.